안녕하세요. During this lesson, you will learn how to make interrogative sentences using verbs. Next, let's talk about some adverbs of time that you can use in questions and answers. Since we've already studied the interrogative sentences of nouns in video 5, making verb interrogative sentences will be easy. Making interrogative sentences. In English, to make a question, be verbs and auxiliary verbs are moved to the beginning of the sentence, like are you a student or do you study? How about Korean? It's really simple and easy. Here's a simple English question. Do you study? I will show you how to say this sentence in Korean. First step, don't use the auxiliary verb. Second step, omit the subject you. So, do you study will be 공부해요? Just add a question mark at the end and use the rising intonation, that's all. In short, with the question mark using the rising intonation, 공부해요 is an interrogative sentence, and with the period using the falling intonation, 공부해요 is a declarative sentence. 공부해요, 공부해요. Let me explain one characteristic of Korean language. In many cases, the second person subject you is omitted because it can be recognized by context and situation. In other words, the second person subject you is not essential information. Take a look at this sentence. Do you cook? Can you say in Korean? First step, remove the auxiliary verb do. Second step, omit the subject you. It will be 요리해요, 요리해요. Do you meet friends? Would be 친구 만나요, 친구 만나요. I hope you remember the Korean sentence structure. Predicates such as verbs and adjectives should always be at the end of the sentence. I also hope you remember the omission of objective particle. In spoken speech, the object particle 을 and 를 is often omitted. Of course, you can say 친구를 만나요, but 친구 만나요 without the particle 를 sounds natural. What about, do you watch a movie? Yes? 영화 봐요? 영화 봐요? Or 영화를 봐요? 영화를 봐요? However, if the subject is the third person, such as he, she, it, the subject must be mentioned. For example, does Chris study? Will be 크리스가 공부해요? As you learned, 가 is a subject particle. 크리스가 공부해요? Does Andy read a book? Will be 앤디가 책 읽어요? 앤디가 책 읽어요? Remember, subjects come first and verbs come at the end of the sentence. Yes, of course, you can add the object particle 을 to 책. 앤디가 책을 읽어요? 앤디가 책을 읽어요? Shall we practice with another example? Summer is a good time for rafting. Do you like rafting? Would be rafting 좋아해요? rafting 좋아해요? With the third person, does your brother like rafting? Would be 동생이 rafting 좋아해요? 동생이 rafting 좋아해요? After rafting, I want to eat watermelon. Do you like watermelon? Would be 수박 좋아해요? 수박 좋아해요? By applying it, you can make your own sentences such as 복숭아 좋아해요? 복숭아 좋아해요? or 귤 좋아해요? 귤 좋아해요? Do you cook 파전? would be 파전 만들어요? 파전 만들어요? You can use many of these phrases in different ways by changing or adding words. For example, 백김치 만들어요? 백김치, white kimchi, is made without using the red pepper powder. 백김치 만들어요? 잡채 만들어요? 잡채 만들어요? Adverbs of time. Let's take a look at a few adverbs of time. Could you repeat after me? 오늘, 오늘, 내일, 내일, 지금, 지금, 요즘, 요즘, 매일, 매일. Now let's practice by adding the adverbs. Do you eat lunch now? 지금 점심 먹어요? 지금 점심 먹어요? Do you hike today? 오늘 등산해요? 오늘 등산해요? Do you sell 빙수 these days? 요즘 빙수 팔아요? 요즘 빙수 팔아요? Do you exercise every day? 매일 운동해요? 매일 운동해요? And take a look at the last sentence. Are you going to school tomorrow? 내일 학교 가요? 내일 학교 가요? Tomorrow and the present tense 가요 are used together. Is it possible? There is a very important characteristic of Korean tense. In Korean, the present tense can cover even the present progressive tense and future tense, in which it's clear that a future event will occur. Sometimes this happens in English as well, such as, is Walmart open tomorrow? Anyway, don't worry, of course, we have the conjugations of present progressive and future tense forms. I'm just talking about the flexibility of the present tense. So, 내일 학교 가요 is a correct sentence. 지금 일해요? 지금 일해요? can cover the present tense, do you work now? Or the present progressive tense, are you working now? And you can also ask, are you going to work tomorrow using future tense? It can be covered with 내일 일해요? 내일 일해요? Let's say, is E-Mart open today? To open is 열다, 열다, and the present tense will be 열어요, 열어요. 문 열다 means open the door, and in a metaphorical sense, it means to sell or do business. Yes, 오늘 이마트 문 열어요? 오늘 이마트 문 열어요? What about will E-Mart open tomorrow? Good. 내일 이마트 문 열어요? 내일 이마트 문 열어요? So did you enjoy this video? 안녕히 계세요.